Hey YouTube. So I wanted to bring you something again today. It seems like every time I think that I've seen everything, I always see something more. Um, so it's really interesting. What I'm finding is that it almost appears as though somebody or something is leaving subliminal messages about the Orion Nebula, and apparently it's been happening for a long time. You've already seen what I've shown you in the churches, right? But this also goes to modern art. I'm seeing modern art, and not so modern in that it's not as late as the pictures that you see that were developed here. For example, I have a couple that are, well, I know at least one of them was made when, a long time ago, when Led Zeppelin came out with that album called, Stairway to Heaven. And they're showing the same thing. And I'm going to prove it to you, as well as I'm going to show you something else that I found very interesting in a modern picture, a fairly recent picture that I cannot get the person to tell me who made the picture, but I'm going to show you something that's highly detailed. And so for all of you people that say, "Oh, your mind sees what you want to see," well, I disagree. Okay, to a certain extent. For example, if I hold a square up to you, then surely you're going to see a square, right? If you start contemplating things like that, then you might as well contemplate what you're seeing on your screen and everything else. And I don't think that that is a logical position to take, nor it's not even a good position to take with your higher mind. Okay, so let's not try to bring people into a trap by having them contemplate reality because they're seeing something. And by the way, there's a medical diagnosis for everything that the mainstream doesn't want to acknowledge, so let's get that straight. So what I've got right here is an unaltered picture of the Orion Nebula. Okay, now you've already seen how I've shown you these things appear in the churches, right? You've seen these cloud figures over here and these over here that always appear at the same time. Well, now we're going to focus on a different one real quick, because we're going to get into the bright spot right here. But you remember that line that I showed you that helped me determine that this thing was a Star of David or star tetrahedron, and then I finally backed it up with that other picture of the Orion Nebula? Well, that line that goes down that you see right here, let me zoom in just a little bit more for you. Okay. So that line right there, and maybe some of you can't see it. I'm going to clean this up here in just a second for you. But you know how it splits into two, and that created a corner which helped create the whole Star of David? Well, what's interesting about that line and its placement is because I found the same thing on that old Led Zeppelin album, as well as the way the cloud formations are here. Someone knows, someone is leaving a subliminal message about Orion Nebula. And I'm going to prove some of that to you here in just a second. So let me clean this up real quick, because it may take just a second. I'm going to, let's see what I can do here. I'm just going to basically take out the red here. Okay. So I've taken out the red for you. And what you'll notice right here is that this arm going down, it's an arm in one of the pictures, okay? But it's going down here and it's touching this Christ archetype's head, okay, that we keep seeing. But what's interesting is it's an arm because if you bring the arm up to the shoulder, you totally see someone looking off to the right here, okay? And that's significant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enhance this part for you so you can see it. And although the face is not going to look completely the same, you're going to see what I'm talking about when I compare it to the picture I want to show you. So give me just a second. Okay, so what I've done is I've brought the original picture unaltered over here into photo filter. I'm going to try to show you how I got to where I got to. Got an angle, a whole rectangle around this area right here, and I'm going to add the night effect to it. Let's see, color, night effect. Now, if you look on this thing, can you see that there is a face looking to the right here, and it looks like it's got an arm reaching down to touch this area right here? Well, I cleaned it up for you a little bit so you can see what I'm seeing here. Okay. Let me just do a little bit more so we can compare the two for you here. Okay, so you can see, can you see that in both of the images? This is the face here. It's pretty detailed, and it's got an arm reaching down here to touch this Christ archetype's head. Now, this is what is really baffling to me, because I'm finding this kind of stuff in a lot of places. These are both pictures of the Stairway to Heaven. I don't know who the artist is that did this, but I would really like to know who the artist is, because I want to know how people are coming up with these pictures. I don't know if this is some kind of a subliminal thing, or if people are being communicated to, or whatever. But the interesting thing about this is it's not only just this one right here that has the arm reaching out, just like right here, into this bright spot, which just so happens to be the bright spot in the Orion Nebula. But there's also other factors in this whole thing that are comparing. For example, the cloud formations that you see in the surrounding areas are also the same. And then also when you take a look at this figure right here, well, if I go to the Cathedral of St. Peter, look what I have right down here. I have the same thing going on in the same location in both of these areas. Let me just show you here. Okay, so we have the same, it's the same subliminal type of message going on, and it appears in these weird places like this. Like the art for Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven. I mean, there's obviously symbolic meaning there. But who's doing this art? And this was done before you could see those cloud formations in Orion's Nebula. They didn't have the ability to see those kind of things back then. That you're seeing right here. But yet it still keeps popping up all over the place, just like it did in the 1660s. Now, I know that's crazy, and you know, there comes a point where you have to say, that's what I'm seeing. And as far as I'm concerned, these are just more complex versions of what you would see when you see something simple, like a square or a circle. At what point is the line drawn where you're seeing something that you want to see versus something that you're not? And I believe it's pretty clear that I'm seeing the same thing depicted there. And it's also in the same type of setting, see? It's not like I'm seeing something that is related to some other type of thing. It's related to the same religious, heaven, Orion, Nebula. All that seems to be related. Okay, and I don't know for whatever reason, but it almost seems like someone's been here all along feeding people subliminal messages or producing art. I don't know what's happening exactly, but it's very interesting. So let me get to the next topic here. Okay, this is really weird. This image I showed you not long ago. Now, I cannot get the guy to tell me who made this image. All right. But what I want to show you about is a couple things here. If you take a look at the eye in the middle of this thing right here, this is so weird. If you notice, the thing is not symmetrically perfect. Okay? What you have is you have some odd shape here that looks like it's almost got a right angle at the bottom, and it comes up, and then inside you've got something that kind of looks like an oval at an angle, and then you've got this little black grain right in the middle of it. And I'm not really looking too hard. I mean, it's kind of there in your face if you look at it. The eye is not symmetrical. And it's not symmetrical because of a particular reason. Let me show you. Okay, let's take a look at our picture that we have of this star tetrahedron right in the middle of Orion, okay? So weird. It's all about Orion for some reason. I don't know why. We'll find out soon enough. Okay, now I've already shown you that the vortex, right, of the Orion Nebula is right in the center of that star tetrahedron, right? This is really weird. Okay. We're going to go ahead and add that night mode to it. And we're going to zoom in. I want you to notice that's something that's really odd here. Let's go ahead and see if we can't draw some contrast out. Because I want you to notice the shapes right in the middle of that disk. Because that disk is what's right in the center of that star tetrahedron. Okay. Let's see. Let's add some contrast to it. I should do it. Yeah. Okay. Now I want you to notice what we're seeing here. First of all, we see this shape, and it kind of comes up like that, kind of like that. Okay. And so now we're looking at this guy right here. And I want you to notice that, let me go ahead and take that off because it's distracting. I want you to notice that if you look at this darker ring inside of the disk, okay, this large disk, there's a dark ring right here. Let me just bring it out for you real quick. I'll just do another contrast. Okay. You see that darker ring right there in the middle of that? It totally matches that one. And the larger, darker ring around it matches also in here. And that grain is sitting right where that centerpiece is. I'm not digging, folks. If you take a look, all this matches, and it's all inside a star tetrahedron, just like this picture. I don't know what's going on here, but apparently it looks like somebody is feeding us subliminal messages, and not just now, but for a long time. There's something going on with this Orion Nebula thing. I don't know if people are producing art and giving it to us for subliminal messages to raise our vibrations, or what's going on, but you can't make stuff like that up. There's too many overlapping shapes within each other to say, oh, that's just random. It can't be random. The statistics on that would be ridiculous, that you would have a star tetrahedron with that particular shape, and then the shape inside it, and then the grain inside that. There's too many factors there. And then for this thing right here to have both of these things out here like that, as well as the clouds, and I can probably show you the clouds real quick. Okay, I want you to take a look, and here's another way you can kind of match this thing up. Okay, so you see the blue area, you see the white area, and you can see how these clouds kind of go up into the middle of this picture, right? They kind of, there's no clouds down in here, there's no clouds right here, but yet in the middle right here, they stretch up into the middle. Well, they do the same thing right here as well. And in fact, although different in color, okay, you have the same thing going on in the Church of the Gisu right here. Same kind of thing. Now here's how else I know this is the same picture. Okay, you remember all those church pictures I showed you, right? And those two things that we look for? Well, the one on the bottom left is not as obvious, but it's there. You can see it, okay? But look at this guy right here. It's that guy with it. He's got his head, he's got the same thing going on right here that I showed you before. And he's in the same place that he should be. Right here, and then you got this one over here on this side. So anyways, I find this very funny, and you know, you have to remember that there comes a point in time where you have to say, I'm really seeing this, and I believe that I am. And what I always do is I don't just use one-offs, but I use confirming information. As you've seen, I use more than just, oh look, that's what I'm seeing. I confirm it with several other pictures. So there you go, something more interesting to bring to the table. For whatever reason, it seems to be all about the Orion Nebula. Y'all take care.